How's it going, everybody? My name is Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Bravado Ramble. It is August 10th, 2014, and we're going to try something a little different out this time. I've been looking forward to trying this for a while. Couldn't figure out quite the best way to do it, but I am going to be taking a bit of a swipe at a product review. I don't do a lot of reviews on this blog, but I've done a couple of games recently that I thought I could bring a special perspective to, and as a YouTuber and live streamer who has had a lot of problems with this stuff in the past, I thought I'd talk about this. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about this guy, better known as this guy. So this is the AVerMedia ExtremeCap, let's get that in there, U3, which is an external device for capturing audio and video, principally from game consoles, but theoretically from anything that has HDMI. And it's a rather unique one. It actually is one of the first devices that is USB 3.0. So what's the benefit of that? Well, I'll tell you, I just upgraded to that from this guy, which is the AVerMedia Live Gamer Portable, which is a USB 2.0 device. Pretty much the same idea as the ExtremeCap, except it is, as I said, USB 2.0. So what's the principal difference between the two? Well, simply put, USB 2.0 and 3.0 are vastly different in terms of their speed capability. USB 2.0 has been around for quite a while now, better part of a decade, I think, and it's fast, but it's not fast enough for certain things. So when you're recording and you want to actually monitor what you're doing with a device like this guy, you basically need to have a display in place in addition to the capture device itself. So you can watch through the software what this thing is bringing in, but there will be a notable delay on it. And the reason for that is that the video signal has to go through USB 2.0 and is limited by that speed. And it's simply not fast enough to do it in real time. There will be a little bit of a delay. It makes playing a game while watching it through the software impossible. So you have to be able to pass the signal through to another display like a monitor or a television or something like that to be able to watch it in real time as you record or you stream it. That was a problem for me because I've got two monitors here that are not very old, but for whatever reason, neither of them have HDMI. I didn't care when I bought them, but it's kind of a pain in the butt now. So I wanted something that would enable me to be able to monitor it through the software when I record directly, and especially when I'm live streaming, because when you're live streaming, you don't use the software that comes with it. You use your live streaming tool, and if there's a lag in that, it's way worse because my commentary and the little webcam portrait that you see in the corner will be out of sync with the video. So that's a big problem. So the promise of the ExtremeCap U3 was that because it's USB 3.0 and so fast that it was going to be real time. AVerMedia said, and so did several reviews, said you can load up our software, which is called RecCentral, which I will get to later. You can load this software up and it will be real time. You'll be able to play the game through the software without a second display, and it will work just fine, and there won't be any lag difference. This product has been out since late 2013, so this is a bit of a late review, but this product had a lot of all over the board reviews when it came out. Some people loved it, some people hated it, and the simple fact of the matter was that, as is the case, sadly, with most AVerMedia products, the software was not very well baked when it came out, and it had a lot of weird issues, and it also has very, very specific system requirements, which we'll get to. So, a little bit of background here. So, I said I've had a history with these devices, and that is true. When I started my YouTube channel, so the principal reason I use this is for capturing off of consoles, usually Wii Virtual Console stuff or stuff from Xbox Live Arcade or retail game collections like Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, things like that. And I've not had a lot of good luck with these. The first device that I bought to do this was an Elgato Game Capture HD, which is basically their version of this, of the older one here. and it came highly recommended. I couldn't stand it. It had massive lag. We're talking like 10 seconds here. Their software was not very good. Elgato is a Mac company first and foremost, and their Windows products, as is the case with most Mac companies, Windows people got treated like second-class citizens. It was not very good. It didn't allow you to record your commentary to a separate audio file or even a separate track. It mixed it with the game audio, which if you try to have videos with decent production values is a friggin' nightmare. I could never get it to work right, and I hated it. So I went, screw this, and I sold it because the Live Gamer Portable, or rather AVerMedia's RecCentral software, boasted the ability to record your commentary to a separate MP3 file, so you could edit your commentary and mix it separately. I was like, done. That's what I want. So I went out and got it, and it works quite well, actually. The problem was the lag, as I mentioned before. So I was like, there's got to be a better solution for this. So I went looking around, and as it turns out, the ExtremeCap U3, even now, in August 2014, is pretty much the only USB capture device available that is not, like, we're talking hundreds of dollars here. One of the only other products available is one by Blackmagic called the Ultra Studio USB, which comes with a whole bunch of other stuff and is $1,000. This is the only other option unless you want to buy an internal card for your PC. So AVerMedia has the Live Gamer HD and I forget the name of the other one, but they're internal cards. They can do real time because they go inside your machine, but given that I sometimes capture off my laptop, that was not a real option for me. My consoles don't live on my desk. They live on the TV stand, which is behind the shelf here, and moving stuff back and forth, not really all that useful. So I wanted something that was portable. The ExtremeCap U3 costs a little bit more, and it actually has less features. So I'm not doing a big unboxing thing. I think those are dumb and boring. So you want an unboxing, you can look anywhere and find that. But it's very simple. In the box, you get the unit, you get a set of component cables if you need them. You do not get an HDMI cable. You get an HDMI cable with the Live Gamer Portable. You do not get one with this. You got to provide your own. You also do not get a SCART cable, which is the AV cable that you can use to hook up a PlayStation 3, because the PlayStation 3 encrypts HDMI, so you cannot capture from that unless you use a fancy piece of equipment to strip that out, which I will get to later. It does not come with a SCART cable, which the LGP does. You can buy a SCART cable if you want. It will work. It can go through the component plug, or you can use the SCART cable to chain up to this thing. And you do get a USB 3.0 cable in the box because you got to hook the thing up. There is no driver software that comes in the box. As you can see, this box is not big enough to hold a standard size CD or DVD. Some people are bugged by that. I don't understand why. The drivers that come with anything you buy in a store are always out of date. I always go get the latest stuff from the website. So that's what you have to do. And I think it's a good way to ensure that people are always using the same software, because AVerMedia products, as I said, are notoriously buggy when they launch. So that's something that they had to fix. And there have been a lot of updates to both the drivers, RecCentral, and the actual firmware of the unit since it came out. I do recommend having the latest of everything. The firmware is not hard to do. It's not like updating a BIOS on a computer. Even that's gotten easier. But you just download the updater, you run it with the thing plugged in, it updates it, it says unplug it, plug it back in, done. That's it. They make that very simple, which I'll give them credit for. So, where does this get tricky? Well, okay, so USB 3.0 has been a thing for a little while now, but it is still a standard. It's not in flux. It is a standard. But USB 2.0 had the same problem when it came out, if you remember around that time, which was that when it came out, there was a whole bunch of companies making different chipsets, and they adhered to the standard, but they all had weird quirks and eccentricities to them. The drivers were weird. They weren't always compatible with every device. Some things had problems. It was a huge nightmare. And we're going through the same thing with USB 3.0. So, there are a number of USB 3.0 chipsets out there, and you can buy, if you don't have USB 3.0 on your motherboard, you can buy an add-on card. And the chipset that card is based on will often impact the compatibility with different things. So I'm just looking at my notes here, so the only chipsets that AVerMedia officially supports with this device are Intel, Renesas, I think that's how you pronounce their name, RENESAS, and somebody called Fresco Logic, which I've never heard of, but apparently they were one of the pioneers of USB 3. There are other chipsets out there. They do not officially support them. They say if you try this, it may work, it may not work. Now, I am fortunate. I have a motherboard that I have an MSI Z77A GD65, which is the box for it is right there. The Z77A has a USB 3.0 Intel chipset on it. And I am happy to report that the card works tickety-boo, or the device works tickety-boo with that. Lots of other people out there have had Renesas, in particular, chipsets, and have said, I was told this would work, and it doesn't. The problem is, as well, is that you need updated drivers. And I believe Renesas makes drivers freely available, but not every chipset vendor does. So if you don't have the latest drivers for your card, and the guy you bought your card from, the vendor you bought your card from, doesn't really care about keeping them up to date, that can be a problem. Intel has USB 3 drivers for Windows 7, and that's the thing. Windows 8 and 8.1, I run 8.1 here, it has native USB 3 support in it. You do not need third-party drivers for that. So if you're still running Windows 7, then you need to make sure that you get the latest chipset drivers for your chipset. If you do not, this thing can cause all kinds of weird problems. It can be stuttery, it can just refuse to work, it can refuse to support certain resolutions, all sorts of weird things. There is a utility that AVerMedia provides with the drivers that will test your system to see if it can handle it and tell you which resolutions it's capable of. The problem, of course, is that you cannot actually you can't download and run that utility ahead of time because it requires the device to be plugged in. So if you're going to buy one of these things, I highly recommend you buy it from somewhere that has a good return policy, because the only way you're going to know for sure that it's not going to work is when you plug it in, run the utility, and it says it's not going to work. That's kind of crappy, I have to admit. But if you buy from a place that's dicky about returns, then you might want to be careful about that. So if you can get through all that, what is the main benefit of this is real-time monitoring, and the fact that this will actually do 1080p at 60 frames a second. The Live Gamer Portable will only do 1080p at 30 frames a second, and it's touchy about it. It's even that is in 1080p is a little tricky. It does 720p fine, as does this as well, obviously. But there are some issues that can come up if you're trying to do 60 frames a second. That's becoming more of a thing now, because you can stream to Twitch and I think other services at 60 frames a second, though nobody does it because the bandwidth requirements are too high. And YouTube is rolling out 60 frames a second video support to some of their partners. Again, we don't really know how that's going to work in terms of bandwidth, but some people like to do that. So if you want to be able to get 60 frames a second glory, you absolutely can, which is pretty awesome. The main reason I got it, as I said, is the real-time monitoring, and I will get to that. So here's the one weird thing about this. So we talked about real-time monitoring, and what I mean by that, as I said, is that when you are running the software, it means that you can actually essentially use RecCentral as a display. Before, you had to have the Live Gamer Portable passing through another device, or passing through to another monitor, or there was a notable lag when you were playing. Not with this guy. However, the limitation of that is that, I guess to save money and keep the price down, AVerMedia took out the pass-through. So there is no pass-through, HDMI pass-through on this. If you're going to use the software, then that's your only option unless you buy a USB splitter, an HDMI splitter. Now, in most cases, that may not be necessary. I recorded a retro flashback using this thing today, and I played it through RecCentral full screened up, and it was perfect. It worked very, very well for me. But the tricky part about this is if you want to live stream with this thing, when you feed this as a virtual camera into XSplit or Open Broadcaster, the only way to watch what you're playing is through the scene of your software. So if you're running say a presentation, a live stream in XSplit, where you have a webcam shot of your head in the corner, and you maybe have text in another corner and stuff all over the screen, you can only play it looking at all that stuff. There's no way to just look at this. When the driver is activated for your live streaming software, RecCentral will not launch. It will come up and say the device is in use. You have to close that thing down. That's kind of a bummer if you're going to live stream with this thing. Now, to be fair, AVerMedia has taken a bit of stick for this in the past, rightly in my opinion. They are not very good at distinguishing which of their products are tuned around recording and which are tuned around live streaming. They all support both. You can stream directly out of the RecCentral software if you want, but you're very feature limited if you do that. Or you can use an additional tool. But you notice the name of this guy is ExtremeCap, whereas the name of the old one is Live Gamer Portable. That's what you've got to check on with their products. If it has the word live in the name, it is better tuned to live streaming. But you can do either. It just means you've got to jiggle your setup a little bit or juggle your setup a little bit. So that's kind of the deal with that. So there is no pass-through. If you want to have the pass-through so that you can have a dedicated display of just the console game you're playing, as opposed to looking at it with all your scene stuff on the screen, then you need an HDMI splitter. I have not actually tried that yet. I have one on order, but I have been told by other people, and I've seen in other reviews, that it does work fine. I actually have a splitter on order as well that strips out HDCP. I will show that splitter here if you want to get one of your own. It's very inexpensive. It has glowing reviews. I don't frankly know how they're allowed to manufacture this thing because I think it's illegal to strip out HDCP. But what that means is that if you want to, say, capture a PlayStation 3 out of HDMI, or you want to capture a PS4 without screwing around with the protection settings, you can do that. The splitter will just take that out, which is really, really nice. And that allows you to do that. So that's pretty cool, right? Now, some of the other features that this thing offers. This particular product is, I believe, the only one that AVerMedia makes, at least the only USB one, that actually boasts native plugins for Adobe Premiere and Sony Vegas Pro. So what is that? Essentially, the point of that is supposed to be, and I guess some people were demanding this. I didn't really see the need for it, but they allow you to actually record footage directly within your video editing software and have it just plop it right on the timeline for you when you're done that. So right now, I record something in RecCentral, I run it, I capture the stuff, it drops the footage in a folder, I load that into Vegas, drop it on the timeline, edit it, do what I need to do. This allows me to do that right within Vegas. Okay, that's kind of cool. Now, I don't use Premiere, I use Vegas Pro 13 as of right now, and I will tell you that as of this recording, the plugin is broken for Vegas Pro 13. The settings window is all weird. I'll show you what that looks like. The settings window is all weird, and if you try to start capture, it just crashes Vegas. The plugin hasn't been updated in a while. I believe Vegas Pro 13 came out after the last update, so it probably needs that. That's not a deal breaker for me. I didn't care if it had the plugins or not. I can't also vouch for how the Premiere one works, but I don't think you need it, to be honest with you. I just don't think it's necessary. So the RecCentral software itself is pretty good. People's experiences especially with reviews, have been very hit and miss with this product. When it works well. When it doesn't work, it's infuriating, and it doesn't work for a frankly larger number of people than it probably should. There are a number of reviews out there, negative reviews of this product, who just said the RecCentral software is garbage, it froze all the time, it crashed, it didn't record properly, it had all these other issues. I guess I'm lucky. I have never had a problem with it. It has generally worked very well for me. Now, that's to say, I am also running a pretty powerful PC. This is a Core i7 2600K that is overclocked to 4.6 gigahertz, which is a 1.2 gigahertz overclock. It is running very, very quickly. So your mileage may vary on that. Again, I would probably recommend you buy this product from a place that has a good return policy. With most of these companies, I find that their software is hit and miss. I had horrible experiences with the Elgato software, for example, but not a lot of other people seem to. So you got to sort of take that with a grain of salt, and the only way you're really going to know is if you try it yourself. So that's the little bit of a risk with this guy being kind of an experimental product, if you will, or in the experimental band. Now, there is one gripe I do have with RecCentral. This goes all the way back to when I was using the Live Gamer Portable, and it still bugs the hell out of me to this day. That is that if you use the separate MP3 recording option, and I'll show you that, if you use the separate MP3 recording option for commentary, the MP3 will always, always, always be just slightly out of sync by default with your video footage. That is your video and your game audio footage. It will always be a little bit out. It's always the same amount, but you have to manually correct that every single time. I've kind of got it down to a science using the Ripple Edit feature in Vegas Pro, but it's infuriating. It's almost like it's starting the capture engine for MP3 within the software about like a half to 3/4 of a second after it starts the video. It's been doing this for like the last 4 versions of RecCentral. I've reported it to their tech support and they say they can't reproduce it. I've done it on 2 different computers. It does it here and it does it on my Core i7 laptop. It is a bug, and it is a really infuriating bug. It's easy to work around, but just be wary of that. It's really annoying. That is not, again, not a deal breaker. I had similar. I would rather have to correct the sync on my commentary audio than have it blended in with the game audio, which is what the Elgato does. So yeah, that's really frustrating. AVerMedia really needs to fix that. Similarly as well, if you do have a problem, again, Elgato, their tech support was terrible. Like, it was laughable. It took them forever to get back to me when I submitted a question, and they answered a question that was completely different than the one I actually asked. AVerMedia is much better, but their support site is poor, to say the least. You have to go in, fill out a big contact form on their website to contact them, and when they reply to you, you can't just reply to the email or just click a link that takes you to your logged ticket and just add a comment. You have to basically go to the feedback page where they are like, please rate your technical support experience. And then there's an additional comments window where it's like, if you have any additional comments about your experience or wish to reply, please type it here. It's the dumbest ticketing system I've ever seen. Like, we use a free ticket system for IT tickets where I work, and it blows this away. I don't know why they're doing that. It looks like something that was written in-house. Guys, dump it and go to Zendesk or something, please. It's terrible. But that said, their reps are pretty knowledgeable and pretty friendly. Though, as I said, I have had issues like with this audio sync thing where they do not acknowledge it's a problem. So you may have some mileage may vary situations with that too. But overall, I really, really like this product. I've had pretty good experience with both the Live Game Reportable and this. The Live Game Reportable's real-time monitoring limitation was the main reason I switched over to this one, and I really like it a lot. The thing is, they're both in around the same price range, give or take about $20-30 depending on where you look. If you had to choose one or the other, I would honestly say if you've got the system for it, get the ExtremeCap, because it's just a better. It can record better video, higher frame rate, higher resolution. The real-time monitoring is really, really nice, and the software is the same. RecCentral is the same, so it doesn't matter. Your experience won't be a lot different in that regard. If you're going to live stream at all, the hilarious thing is, if you're going to live stream, you should really do it with this, because even though the Live Game Reportable is called Live Game Reportable, it's right in the name, it's less of a headache to set up the ExtremeCap to do it without stupid lag issues than it is. There are ways around this with the Live Game Reportable. If you're using something like XSplit, you can introduce a manual delay to your stream that can make everything line up, but it's still a headache. And if this thing costs a little bit more and eliminates the need to do that entirely, then why wouldn't you do that? Buy this and a $20 HDMI splitter if you need the real, if you need that second display like I do, and it's sorted. I also think it's a much better designed looking device. This is not a big deal to most people, but the one thing I really don't like about the Live Game Reportable is it's bloody obnoxious. There's a really large ring of light on it. I'll probably do a little video as well, but you can see this thing right here. It's got this large ring of light on the top that is super bright and is always on when the thing is either plugged in or recording. It actually pulses red when it's recording. You can't turn that off, and I can't stand it. I think it's really obnoxious and gets in the way, whereas the ExtremeCap just has it's a black box, has a tiny little light bar on the bottom that's just blue when it's plugged in, and also pulses red, but it's very low key, very understated. That's what I much prefer. I like having status lights. I've ranted about that before. I like having status lights, and I like it when the thing shows me what it's doing, but it doesn't need to do it to the degree that the Live Gamer Portable does. The Live Gamer Portable also technically has the ability to record directly to an SD card without being plugged into a PC, but you never wanted to use that feature anyway. It's not good. It records at very low bitrate, very low resolution, and it's just not the way to do it. That was a sort of weird thing that they threw in to say that they had it, but you don't need it. You don't need it at all. The ExtremeCap does a much better job of that as well, in my opinion. So, yeah. So that's my sort of later review of this. I thought it would be interesting to do a review of this product because it's been, like I said, it's been later in its life cycle, and the software and the drivers have matured a lot. I have not experienced, with the exception of that MP3 sync problem, which has always existed and is obviously a fault in RecCentral's software, not the device itself. That's the only real complaint I have. Most of the other complaints people had about audio and video, like much bigger audio sync problems, crashes, freeze-ups, things like that, I experienced none of those. I've done a bunch of test recordings with this, and it's been very, very good to me so far. So if you're a YouTuber or a live streamer looking for a high-quality capture solution for USB, and you've got the horsepower, this is the one I would recommend. I don't like Elgato, but a lot of people do, and the Live Gamer Portable is a good product, but the flaws that it has are not worth the minor drop in price. The one thing I will tell you, though, as I've said a couple of times already, is if you're gonna buy this guy, buy it from somewhere that has a good return policy. If it has a big restock fee, or if they won't take things back once they're opened, then I wouldn't advise buying from that retailer. Get it from a place like Amazon or Best Buy or something like that. I bought this from a local computer store that has a good return policy. So, because even if you meet all the requirements, there is a chance it still won't work for you. It does work for me, and I'm very happy about that, but your mileage may vary, and you need to be cognizant of that. But if you can get it to work, there's really nothing better if you don't want an internal card. So, yeah, there you go. So there's my little review of the AVerMedia ExtremeCap U3. There's no real full disclosure necessary. I was not sent a review copy or anything like that. I bought this with my own money for my own use. This is an unvarnished, real opinion. So hopefully that helps you out. Feel free to hit me up in the comments, either on Geek Bravado or on this video, if you did buy one of these and want some advice on getting it set up or the best way to configure it. You can tweak a lot of the settings and stuff like that in it, and I sort of have my own way that I set it up that makes it work well for my environment. But try that out, and but it's a good thing. It's a product that only certain numbers of people are going to use, but the people who use this thing, it's really important to them, and it's really important that it works real well. So I enjoyed it a lot. Give it a try, and if you're into this stuff, I think you'll do well by it. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. If you like what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out a great deal. And, well, I may do more of these in the future. We'll see how things go. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys.